y'all. Thank y'all so much. It's so good to see so many people in person. And hello to all y'all in the virtual space. Good to see y'all for the last episode of season 2, but it is certainly not going to be the last one forever. Want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon over a light snack. I'm excited to see you again on this episode of Table Topics, where we have a series of candid conversations that we're having with some of our best friends who are colleagues. We want to get to know them, build a sense of a closer kind of community, and know more about them, not just the work that they do, but the people behind the work. Can y'all remember that? Not just about the work that they do, but the people behind the work. I think that's super important. We sit next to people all day, work with them Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 or even beyond, and we don't even know much about their lives, what brought them into the jobs that they're in today. So I want to make sure that I bring someone up that I think y'all gonna want to know a little bit more about. How about that? Y'all excited to learn a little bit more about Tung? Huynh? Tung, come on up. You are welcome. He brought his coffee.
I did.
So that means we're gonna have a good, fun spirited conversation. So let me tell y'all a little bit about Tung. Do you mind?
Let's do it.
So Tung joined ACC in 2010 as a senior analyst for enrollment management for the team in enrollment management. And Tung, they're saying, make sure you get your mic and turn it on. The people in the virtual space want to hear you. He enjoys developing forecasts, building capacity models, and pretty much anything related to enrollment optimization. His 5-year-old daughter sums it up best. Daddy helps people go to college. Proud son of 2 Vietnamese refugees, purpose-driven and paying it forward. How beautiful, Tung. So now, you ready for me to ask you a few questions?
Let's do it, Dr. Ken.
Gonna get all in your business. All right. So tell us a story, Tung. During the Provost 3Cs, you shared your father's story and how that has helped shape who you are today. Can you recount a little of that story and share more with us about who you are?
Absolutely. First of all, I'm super honored to be able to share the spirit of my late dad, especially in a venue like this. So thank you for this, and thank you for whoever nominated me to be here. Um, I'll start off by saying that both of my parents were Vietnamese refugees. And so following the Vietnam War, my dad ended up in Pittsburgh and was looking for work and started his way as a busboy at a local steakhouse called Black Angus.
Mhm.
He was there for a little over a year, and he had someone that was a regular customer. And this person is very near and dear to our heart. His name is Mr. Wei. He's part of our chosen family. This gentleman sort of took an interest in my dad and asked my dad questions, and eventually asked my dad, hey, have you ever thought about going to college? And then, of course, that would have been like a dream come true for anybody outside of the States, especially to go to an American college. And then my dad said, sure, but look at me, I'm a busboy here, and he's like, I can help you with this. So long story short, Mr. Wei helped my dad with a college application, with some form of financial aid. And then 2.5 years later, my dad graduated with an engineering degree from the University of Pittsburgh. And it really largely thanks to this wonderful human being named Mr. Wei. And he's a very special person in our family. My kids, he's going to be a legacy forever in our family. And so I forgot to mention earlier, the picture up here, I rarely get a chance to explain. I'm so grateful the SA Comms team put it up here. That's actually the ship. It's not like a recreation of the USS Kirk, which is the Navy ship that actually rescued my mom and dad. So it's a special ship. I have it on my office. It's in my home. It's something I never personally want to forget. And, as there's a new generation, my own children, I don't want them to forget. So I always look really close. I've tried to zoom in with technology to see if I can see my mom and dad. They're convinced they couldn't find it. But anyway, my mom and dad are in this picture somewhere or hidden behind there. And then this picture over here, I actually found this about 8 years ago, and while I was giving a talk to Free Minds or something, and I wanted to look for the Black Angus in Pittsburgh, and I am fairly certain that picture is actually the restaurant that my dad was a busboy at. It's no longer there anymore. I would have loved to have visited, and But anyway, those are the two pictures there, and of course, those are my kids, Annie and Austin, and my family. So.
Well, I just thank you for sharing that with us. When I think about Mr. Wade, that was his name, and just like you said, a part of your chosen family, but also someone that will always be a part of the legacy in your life. Will you tell us a little bit about how you became a river bat? How did you get started in your career, and what led you to the path of data analytics?
So, I started my career in tech. So I worked in a startup here in Austin, and I really enjoyed it. The work was very exciting. I mean, it was kind of like what I imagined coming out of college. At a certain point, though, I guess I was doing some like late night reflection, and I realized it just wasn't as fulfilling. It wasn't the path I was like wanting to live long term, and so I kind of reevaluated what I wanted. Fast forward a few years, I was blessed to find Austin Community College, or rather, they found me, and I quickly fell in love with the people here, the mission, the cause, and obviously, I'm still here. And as far as ACC is concerned, for anybody interested in the path, because there's so many different paths here, is one of the most beautiful things at ACC. I started out in recruiting, so I really appreciate the work that Vincent and Helen's team does, because I've been there and I know how hard it is, and I also know how fulfilling that is to be student facing. I did that for many years. I loved it. I think I've been to every high school in Greater Austin area. I'm pretty certain, Anyway, and then I found my way in data analytics when this team and role opened up, and it just worked out really well because this is actually, people don't know this, but this is actually my background. I studied management information systems, and so I kind of took a long path to get back to it. And anyway, I'm here and I'm loving it, and it's different work, but it's great work, and I really enjoy it.
We see that in your work. You do an amazing job. So now that you told us about your path to get to data analytics here, can you talk to us a little bit more about your work in enrollment management and how it enhances student success? And while you're talking about that, will you tell us about challenges? Because I know with any great deed, any great work, any great success comes challenges with the work. Will you share us both?
Yeah. At like a super high level, like when people in my kids' playgrounds ask me what I do, I simply tell people what my daughter says is, Daddy helps people go to college. I think at heart, no matter what specific thing we all do here, that's really what we're doing. We're helping people go to college. I think the question you're asking specifically, how do I do that? And so the way that I spend a lot of my time working on building forecast models, using predictive analytics, and that's just like kind of fancy speak for helping the college kind of set targets and seeing like the path that we are going, and then also helping to correct if we are not going on that path. And so what you see behind us is what we've branded Enrollment GPS. I like the terminology because GPS implies that we are going somewhere. Think about the GPS in your car, right? Before, for many years I've been here, all we've been able to do was talk about, oh, how are we doing? We would just say a point in time, we're doing this compared to year over year, but we couldn't really look into the future. And now with a forecast model like this, we can kind of take a glimpse into the future using like historic and seasonal modeling. And so I don't want to geek out too much, but long story short, like and of course, Mike knows I'm going to, the left side is kind of where we've been, and that's like actual data. We know we've done it. All the data shows us. But if somebody in January 23 says, okay, we're looking okay, but how are we going to be looking into the future? I can model out now based on a lot of data and other kind of context to see where we're going to land. And that's like really important for the college so that we can plan out. And oftentimes I can do this 3 to 4 months in advance. Like we're already modeling out for the end of fall of 2023. We just started registering, right? And so it's kind of a beautiful thing. And now the college doesn't have to be surprised 2 weeks before enrollment period is done and say, what happened there? We're looking 3 months. We have like a lens now through Enrollment GPS to see what's going on.
So it's like data analytics. It's like y'all are a help partner, right? Because one of the things I remember hearing when I first transitioned into this role was about we always seem to be chasing the data or chasing the students or chasing the enrollment in the 11th hour. And what you are describing is how do we remove the chase and that we really get closer to realizing, but we know far in advance of what that looks like, right? Is that what I hear you saying?
Right. Generally speaking, my philosophy about data and management is just no surprises. Obviously, this is just a prediction. It doesn't always land that way, but generally speaking, I make a promise to Dr. Kinney. We don't want surprises. I'm going to be very forthright. I'm going to show Dr. Kinney what's in the data, and we can, as a team, we can course correct as needed. And it's just been an awesome tool for just our leadership team to use.
So give me an example, Tung. So in your work in data analytics, can you give us an example of what this looks like in reality when we are working with our students, or you're working with your colleagues in enrollment, or in any department for that matter?
I'll say, generally speaking, I'll take a step back from a data perspective.
Yeah.
Data is just numbers. It really is. It's as nerdy as that. It's nothing unless you take action from the data. And I think this is a really good time to give a shout out to all the frontline workers, because that's where all the action's happening. And so I have a great appreciation and respect for folks on the front line and their leadership coming to the enrollment management analytics team and asking for data about the impact their teams are making, because we can work together to do things like this and look at other various factors to help them do what they want, which is ultimately help people go to college. Again, going back to what my daughter was saying. So I don't know if that answers the question or not. But,
it does, because I think when you kind of talked about data in terms of it's nothing if we don't take action, the data should inform us. And then for the team that are doing the work and supporting students, what is the action we need to take based on what we see? And particularly when we have predictive analytics to really support us into the future, as opposed to just here's our now, but where are we trying to go? And this is what it's looking like in terms of trends. So that's really good. It did help me. So you talked about your journey from recruitment to data analytics. What is it about data analytics that keeps you motivated and inspired to keep going?
I think for me, it's kind of similar to going out and recruiting, just a little bit different. And what I mean by that is, now when I'm looking at data, I think of like every piece of data is there's some student behind that data, and that's really moving for me. So I don't look at this like a bunch of numbers and like, let's hope we get this X number. Behind every data is someone that we could help go to college for the first time. We're talking about all the folks that we're also familiar with here, underrepresented, first generation, low income students, and then helping them not just get here, but helping them succeed here, stay here, and then ultimately meet whatever goal that they have, right? Their students are coming to us with so many different goals, and I think our goal collectively is to help them get there. And so the way I look at data is just a tool to like help them meet their goals.
Yeah. What's beautiful about what Tung shared is that sometimes when we talk about enrollment and colleagues, whether this college or others, sometimes they just hear it in the sense of, you're only concerned about the number. But what you just shared is there are people behind that.
Absolutely.
And when our data analytics partners are looking at numbers with the imagery that there are people behind it, that says a lot about your passion and how hard you're working and the work that you do to best support your colleagues so they can support the students. So great. I love everything about what you said.
I wanted to add to that too. We work with a lot of partners, and that list of enrollment management partners is growing. We certainly don't work with everybody, and meaning like not every team has adopted this kind of like data-driven mindset yet, but I think our team is hoping to shape that at the college, not just in enrollment management, but all the student affairs and hopefully beyond someday. So if there is a team out there that would like to know more about the work that they're doing and how to measure that work, and ultimately like kind of optimize the impact that they're making on students, I would encourage them to reach out to the enrollment management analytics team so that we could talk and see how we could help out.
I love it. So before Tung leaves the stage, so remember, Table Topics is my selfish way to get to know people, so then you can get to know them too, because again, we're so much more than our work and we spend so much time together. It's so helpful to understand your story and your journey. One, thank you so much just for your comfortability and being vulnerable and sharing more about your mom and dad, because that just opens up my heart and it connects us. So before we move to the next segment, I want to know, is there anyone on your team you want to shout out?
I have so many people I would love to shout out, and I know I'm gonna get that 2-minute warning thing soon. But you know what? Dr. Pena, I think you know as well as anybody else knows. No winning team is one person alone, and I'm certainly no exception to that. I've got a lot of people that have supported me to get here, but just to talk about ACC alone, I would like to shout out a few people. I'd like to shout out Patty first and foremost, because she took a chance on me in 2010 without any higher ed experience. So for any other managers out there looking very hard at resumes, just know that there are some gems out there that have no higher ed that deserve a chance. So I want to advocate for some of those folks, and I think they deserve to be taken a closer look at. So that's the first person. So I'm really grateful for Patty.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her taking a chance on me. The second one I would say is I want to say a shout out to Dr. Kinney and Anna, specifically for really believing in the work that we do in analytics. And I think they're the first to not just get it, but to put support behind it. And I know I can speak on behalf of my team on this. We really appreciate that. We feel the love, and we're so glad that enrollment management and student affairs at large is becoming more data informed. And it's awesome. I love seeing that. I wanted to also thank 3 more people. Orchid Kujini, who's been just an amazing instrumental boss to me, especially during this particular season of my life. I couldn't have asked for a better manager, and I'm just so thankful for her. So I appreciate them so much. And then last but not least, I want to thank Audrey and Christine, who are my teammates for so many reasons, but they're doing amazing work. Some of their work may not always be seen on this slide or on a weekly email, but I can promise you they're delivering some really quality work that's really making a difference. And I just want you to know that there's so much stuff going on behind the scenes. And I think Audrey and Christine are doing a lot of that work, but they deserve to be noticed too. So I want to give them a shout out as well.
Oh, well, y'all was nothing wrong. Well, friends and colleagues, if y'all would help me give a round of applause to Tung Huynh for spending a little time with us. All right. I think we are ready for our next segment. Next segment, we're doing a spotlight. Ooh, money. All right. I'm looking at who's on which side. Okay. Even though I went through all that work to say this side, right? Then I can't get it right. All right. Will you all help me welcome? I'm gonna read their names first and their titles. Karen Serna, who's our Director of Student Financial Wellness and Financial Aid Outreach. Ayeesha Green, Coordinator of Student Money Management Office. And Belinda Pena, Associate Director of Financial Aid and Veterans Outreach. Okay, we want to hear you in the back. Will you help me welcome them, please? So, Tung has set us up for some great conversation as we start to think about how we look at data. And when we look at data, we think about what are our student needs, right? And so we think one of the things we hear a lot about, our students are looking for money, but money in so many different ways. It's not just give me money, but there are different ways our students are wanting to be financially healthy. So Karen, could you explain how the Student Money Management Office complements the work of the Financial Aid Office and give us some examples?
Yeah, so I think here I want to start with a story. So Student Money Management Office, we spend a lot of time in our student development courses delivering some financial education because we want our students early in their academic careers to just have those tools so they can make really well-informed decisions as they move forward in their academic journey. And so when I have the opportunity to teach in those classes, I share a story about my first experience with a credit card. And so when I was 18 and going off to college, right before my parents left me, my father handed me a credit card and his only instruction was, this is for emergencies. And that was the only instruction he gave me. I didn't know what a credit card was, like how you pay it. I had no idea, but I was like, okay, it's for emergencies. And, put it in my wallet or squirreled it away and was really afraid to use it for a couple of years, right? But a couple of years. And then, kind of going through collegiate life, I went to the mall and I saw a pair of Gap jeans and they were $54 and I didn't have $54, but I really needed these jeans. So maybe this is an emergency. And so I bought the jeans, right? And then I walked out of there and I was like, wow, that was really easy, right? And then I moved apartments. And so I never got the credit card bill. And I was like, wow, I just outsmarted the credit card company. Like, I don't have to pay for these jeans, right? And so as y'all know, like that $54 pair of jeans ended up becoming over $100. And I learned a really important lesson. And I'm sure everyone in here has learned about managing money in the same way by making those mistakes. And so one thing we want to help our students do is just reduce the number of mistakes they have to make, right? So like help them understand how to make these financial decisions. We turn 18 and we're just magically supposed to know the difference between a credit card and a debit card. We're supposed to know how to get an auto loan. We're just supposed to know all this stuff. And so that's what we're doing in those classes is helping our students understand how to manage their money, right?
Wow. I think those jeans, that was an emergency, like, right, frankly, I don't know about y'all. In your experience, Ayeesha, as we think about what Karen shared in terms of that's what we're spending time doing in the classes and your teams are really helping students understand, because there's no magical dust that falls over students when they turn 18 that says, now you know all this, the magic wand has been handed to them and they know how to do it. So in your experience, what are some common financial challenges that students face? And can you share some students or examples of students who really inspire you?
Okay, thank you for that question. Some of the common financial challenges that I see that students face are a lack of knowledge, where to access resources, and how to get started in their financial journey. I tell students all the time that money management is one of the most fundamental life skills needed in order to successfully navigate our complicated financial systems. And so it's important for them to understand how to organize their money, have solid structure for their money, and then also to have systems in place so that they can achieve their financial goals. And so when I'm in the classroom conducting one-on-one coaching sessions with students, as well as running some of the programs that I run, I get to show them how to organize their finances, how to structure their money, and how to put systems in place. And one program that exemplifies that is our Gaining Momentum program. Our Gaining Momentum program is one of our newest programs. It's an educational and capability building program that focuses on debt repayment and credit building and asset accumulation for our Black students. And so for us, Karen and I, we were concerned about the impact of the racial wealth gap on our Black students. And so we felt that as professionals in this space of financial wellness, we have the moral obligation to not sit idly by, knowing the information and the insights that we possess. And so one of the tasks that students are required to participate in the Gaining Momentum program is our Racial Wealth Gap Forum. So we hired Michelle Dickerson. She is a lawyer. She's an esteemed educator at UT School of Law, as well as an author. And so she helps to facilitate those conversations with our students in the Gaining Momentum program about the factors that have impacted Black Americans from being able to build wealth in this country. We talk about asset accumulation as well. And for us, we do emphasize for our students that their certificate, their degree is an asset. And when they connect with that, that motivates them to want to definitely persist from semester to semester and then move on to where they're able to graduate. And then as far as the students that inspire me, they all do. I see it all the time. And I'm sorry, Karen, I can't go to a campus, sometimes to a grocery store, concert, or conference where a student isn't approaching me telling me about their path and the impact that the work that we do have on their lives. It changes the trajectory of their lives, thinking about credit cards and your credit score and how that impacts you with interest rates and things like that. So they all do. But I do want to shout out to students. I was thinking about them today. The first one is Amber Rodriguez. Y'all may know her. She just graduated with her bachelor's degree in computer science from Texas State University. I remember doing a session for Student Life. She approached me. We had a couple of coaching sessions. I invited her to become a member of our Peer Money Mentor program. And then we eventually hired her as an hourly within the Student Money Management Office. And she actually assisted with the Gaining Momentum program. And then the other student is Alexis Reynolds. She was one of our first gainers. And what she's been able to do for us after she completed the program, she works for us to help guide additional gainers through the program. Our target was to get 70 students through the program, and we literally were able to get 79 students through the program. When we initially launched the application, we were looking for 30 students for the first cohort, and we had over 190 Black students apply for the program. They're very appreciative of the Gaining Momentum program, and we've already seen the impact on their lives. So there you go.
No, I think it's beautiful. When we think about what our students need to be successful, we talk about developing the whole person. And the whole person isn't just about when they come for advising, or if they come for tutoring, or if they're in the classroom. The whole person is so much more than that. They have lives when they leave these walls. And so how do they maintain that life? Particularly for those that are parents of young children, that I've said before, their parents are their superheroes to them. And so when that parent feels like they've been poured into so they can live a life of dignity and to be able to support their family and themselves, it changes things. So as we think about developing the whole person, one of the things I heard Karen say was that college is one of the first assets, right? And so Belinda, if a student's first asset is the college credential, can you tell me how your office supports students in a proactive way to help them get started? Oh, and I have a follow-up after that.
Okay, sounds good. Before I dive into the question, I just wanted to share that our teams really go hand in hand. Karen and Ayeesha and the Student Money Management Office help students navigate their finances, and the financial aid team and veterans team help students access the money they need and then navigate their finances and learn how to use that money to pay for their schooling. So when it comes to college, finding the money is such a hard thing to do because there's so many options out there. It can be overwhelming for students. So what we do in our office is we make sure that we're trying a variety of different approaches because we know students have very busy lives. So we try texting students. We have a campaign that we do for our financial aid students where we share text messages throughout the year when they need them. So we're not going to text them about the FAFSA months before it's due. We're going to text them when they need to do it. So that's one of the things that we do in our office. We also host events throughout the year so that students can come meet us on campus and also virtually, whatever support they need. We want to be flexible and meet them where they are because again, students have lives outside of these walls and it's easy to forget. As a first generation college student myself, I often found myself in school having to do everything for myself and learning everything on my own. So that's really what motivates me in this work, is really being that person to support students. And the team that I work with also has similar shared experiences in our personal lives, working with other students. We really just want to continue to try different ways to meet students where they are so they don't always have to do the work to come see us.
Will you share a little bit about, this is a new office.
Yeah.
And so can you share a little bit more about the work that you're doing to reach students? I know you talked about texting students, but go all in, let us know, because y'all are doing some amazing things. And I think it's important, as we're sitting here on the couch, just sharing, shooting the breeze, go all in and explain to us a little bit more about that work that this new office has said, this is us,
Yeah.
this is how we support in a proactive way.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the way I think of our team is we are like a mobile financial aid office. We go where students are, whether that's at the high schools or in the community or at different ACC campuses. We will be there to help guide them through this process. So some of the really cool things that I think we do is we host standard events to keep it consistent for students. So when the FAFSA opens up, you can count on us sending students messages about the FAFSA being available via text, email, we'll call students, we'll host events. So we're always going to try different things in order to get students to get the money that they need. Another really great thing that I'm really proud of and excited for is that we also have built communication, not only through text, through email, we also do postcards. So there's a lot of organizing that goes into this work because we know that one student might need one helpful reminder via text, while one other student might want to sit down and do the FAFSA together. So we stay flexible and we work with other teams at the college. I think that's one of my favorite things of our role is that we work with the recruitment team, we work with the analytics team, we work with everyone across the college because we know that this is a team effort. It's not just one team, it's everyone that's helping push the student forward. So yeah, I could talk all day about our office and how excited I am about it, but yeah, thank you for the question.
No, absolutely. So this one is open to all. How do you measure the success of the Student Money Management Office and your work with students? And are there any long-term impacts that you track?
Sure. So actually, I'll answer it for both of our offices if that's okay, because both of them really get me excited, right? So like, because I think when I looked at this slide and I was like, oh, if I had reviewed this slide, I would have put something else on there. So we track FAFSA completions every Friday. And so Angela in our office every Friday at like between 3:30 and 4 o'clock, just like clockwork, sends us the current count on a number of different areas, including FAFSA completions or submissions. So that's any current student, prospective student who has put the ACC code on their FAFSA. And so as of last Friday, we had at least a 10% increase in the number of FAFSAs received by same point last year, right? And so, yeah, it is pretty awesome. And so we had been watching the first time I remember saying, ooh, this is good. We were at 6% increase, right? And it keeps going up. And to Belinda's point, like, it's not just the financial aid outreach team, like it is everybody in financial aid who's connecting with students and helping them figure out how to complete the FAFSA, right? So that's something that I look forward to getting every single Friday, right? So yeah, I would have put that on this slide.
That's a good one. I forgot to put that one, but it's great. Thank you for bringing it up.
And so then in terms of Student Money Management Office, we have a number of different evaluations that we do to just look at the impact on our students. So we have, pre-test and post-test, but those are kind of boring because that's just transfer of knowledge, right? But what we really want to measure is there a change in the students' financial well-being from the time when they start working with us and then 3-6 months later. So we use a scale from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that measures financial well-being. And so the students take it at the beginning of program, and then again, we follow up with them afterwards. And so that energizes us as well, because we're able to see, okay, well, when they started, like this was their score. And so we do see increases. Of course, it's not like drastic, right? Because financial well-being like that takes a lot of time and patience for you to start feeling more in control of your money and to build emergency savings. But when we see that, we're like, okay, we're on the right track. Like these students are feeling more confident about their financial situation.
I feel the energy of just y'all's passion about how you feel about the work. And I think that becomes important because, again, when you start talking about people's money, that is personal. If you think of all the memes when people say, don't mess with my coin, our students are like, help us build the coins, right? But it's personal, and you want to have those opportunities. And to have colleagues who are so passionate, and then your teams are so passionate about the work, that builds trust and confidence in the students that will want to work with you and want to come back. So what advice would you give to students or young adults who are just beginning their college and financial journey?
College and financial journey. I usually talk for like 2 or 3 hours straight, but let me see if I can come up with something really good. One thing that I say to students is when you spend the time to learn about personal finance, it's a form of self-care. And it's important to prioritize that. Again, we're looking to see our students have financial stability, financial wellness, so that they can get on a pathway to eventually build wealth for themselves. And those are conversations that we have. But yeah, just invest that time. We have an amazing online learning platform called iGrad. Y'all can use it too. You just need your ACC email. And once you have an inkling that, you know what, I do want to learn a little bit more, definitely take advantage of that. But that is where the stability and the wellness will come into play. And when students have that financial stability and wellness, they're able to persist from semester to semester.
Absolutely. You all, did you want to share? Please, please don't
I
let
do
me
have
stop
one
the
thing to say.
Okay.
I think advice I have to students is letting you know that we know it's scary. We know that this is a huge monster of a process to navigate when it comes to financial aid and your finances and going to college altogether. And I just want to share that you have people here that want to help you. So as much as you feel afraid, know that you can do it and that you have someone here that wants to help you do it.
I love what you said is about it is a form of self-care, because when someone is now admitting that I need help and support financially, that's a big hurdle to overcome, to be at that place and space, to now open yourself up vulnerably to get the help. So thank you so much for bringing that. So as you see students, make sure that when they even have that inkling of an idea, that you point them in the right direction. Will you all help me welcome, because y'all are already here. Will you all help me thank so much Karen, Ayeesha, and Belinda? Y'all were amazing. Thank y'all. All right, next up, we have another spotlight. It's a priority spotlight, a Chancellor priority spotlight. Come on up. Will you all help me right after I say their names? Dr. Dorado, Kinney, Associate Vice Chancellor of Enrollment Management, and David Zuniga, Director of the ACC Welcome Centers. Help me welcome them. Here, before I jump into any questions for Dr. Kinney, did y'all notice that I didn't say interim? Yeah. Give us one more clap for the Associate Vice Chancellor of Enrollment Management.
When I say something, Nikki?
Sure.
I'd like to thank all of the enrollment management team that supported me over the last 10 months with the interim status. It's like I got, traded to a team that was already working hard and succeeding, and all I had to do was take them to the Super Bowl, throw a couple of passes.
He said throw a couple of passes.
Yeah. So y'all Tom Brady me on that. Thank you very much to everybody who supported me throughout that period.
All right. Thank y'all so much. So I'm gonna jump right into it. Y'all want to hear a little bit more about this particular Chancellor priority? Yeah. I don't hear y'all. And that's like, all right. So Dr. Kinney, you're up first. As this phase of consulting work for enrollment management nears its completion, the first phase, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Could you please share one significant challenge and success that stood out during this process?
Well, one of the biggest challenges was that we had 4 really strong, highly functioning strike teams going at one time. We had folks that were doing change management, folks that were doing process reengineering, folks that were doing communication, along with strategic planning. At the beginning of the process, all 4 of those strike teams were going at the exact same time. So the challenge was trying to keep track of the pace and the hard work that all of the teams were doing at the same time. We had folks that these were superstars. They were out there really churning and burning. We were on a really accelerated timeline, as you know. So those folks were out there doing hard work. So making sure that the communication between the strike teams was solid and that we were on the same page with the progress was very challenging.
What about any success that stood out?
One success coming out of this was that we have started and we will continue the process of declogging the enrollment pipeline for our students. I think everyone up here, starting with Tung and the lady spoke on it also, every number is a person. Every person is connected to a family. And our goal is to take every family to that next level. So we don't look at it as, you know, the enrollment numbers are up. We look at it as we're helping each individual family get to that next level. So we were really happy with the process. It's disheartening when you see a student that's stuck, but it's also really invigorating when you figure out how to unstick them in the pipeline. Unstick them.
You got real excited about that.
I get excited about it because I have 9 brothers, and 6 of my brothers actually went through either community college or through VOTEC education. So when I see students that are engaged in that type of educational process, it gets me excited.
Yeah. So in your opinion, what is the most significant impact of enrollment management on our students as they embark on their journey with us?
Our students deserve our best, our most excellent product. They shouldn't know anything other than our excellence. So when we have a process in place that takes them from step 1 to step 5 and it's seamless, all they know is excellence. We shouldn't give them anything else. That's what the community is about. That's what the community college is about. So the ability for us to impact our students and their families is a big thing, is a big success for us. We have to make sure that as we're out there engaging our adult learners, our fresh out of high school learners, our returning learners, that we're treating them all with the level of respect that they deserve and giving them a quality product.
I heard some amens over here, you know, on this side of the room. So it was like, so I felt that energy. Yeah. So I'm gonna steal a little shine from you real quick because I see some people that are important in your process that report directly to you. Dr. Michael Costa, and I see Jason Brasino out there, and of course all the wonderful people within enrollment management. But I just wanted to say, hey y'all, out there in the audience, and thank y'all so much for being here. So now that you've said all that, Dr. Kinney, can you share more about how enrollment management is changing the students' experience as they begin their journey with us?
Yes, outside of all the things we've done over the last 10 months with our consultant and really fixing our process and our communication flows, the idea, the concept of a true front door entry process for the college has been tossed around, you know, dating back to as far back as 2015. We've talked about having a welcoming place where students can come, get their questions answered, get their process started. So fast forward to 2023, and we're right on the cusp of opening our very first Welcome Center here at the Highland campus.
So Dr. Kinney's trying to change the table topics from Shasta's table topics to Dorado's conversation, discussion, Dorado's discussions. So that was a perfect segue to, to David. So right, a spinoff. So
you got your co-host.
I know. So David, tell us more about what role the Welcome Center plays for our students. And can you explain to our audience what the Welcome Center actually is and its significance in the student college journey?
So imagine a place where you do wayfinding through academics. Right? So having a place where we ease the transactional day-to-day activities and create a space where any member of our community can come in and be engaged. But right off the bat, because of the high level of customer service we offer, is have a sense of belonging. ACC is for me. That's the overall vision of the Welcome Center. And I think the strike team, and when I say team, it's the strike team plus the academic, plus the counselors that or consultants that we picked and asked to look at our work on the instructional side. And then of course, Dr. Kinney and Dr. Acosta with their support, came up with 4 core functions that really demonstrate to us internally, but also to our audience, that we're here to connect. We're here to help discover some of the benefits of being a river bat. And then, by the way, yeah, let's have a strong start. whether that's admissions applications to the credit program, non-credit, or maybe on the financial aid application. We want to make sure that we can engage with them in a way where they leave feeling like here's a sense of belonging at ACC.
You know what's interesting about the Welcome Center and the concept to work with new students is the fact that as a new student or a potential student comes to the campus, they can't get lost because it's screaming right there at your face when you first walk in the door. But that was the point, right? To make it invigorating, to make it exciting, to make it a place where you feel like you belong and feel comfortable with those that are working with you, but not lost in the maze of how do I just navigate this big, humongous, my word, campus. As you think about that, can you share in your experience, what are some of the common challenges or questions that you anticipate from students? And what can our colleagues do to support you in this journey to ensure student success?
I think I'd start with reminding folks, for those that have known me for years, that I struggled through college. I was a horrible student. I was on a 20-year plan for my bachelor's. And I am one of 5 family members. 3 of us still work at ACC, but at one point, all 5 of us did. Right? So I think, having said that, I was able to, and I've been with the college since December of '99. Right? So having said that, I was able to approach the strike team to say, hey, how do we create this space? How do we create this where we are able to embrace diversity? We're able to embrace goals that folks come in with, but let's embrace their fears, their uncertainties as well, into this welcoming but informational environment that really truly lets them feel like they listen to me. So that's one way. I think the other thing to keep in mind is we're such a big college. We are such a big college, and it's so easy for folks to either know a little bit about some of our programs or know nothing about nothing. Right? And so our goal is to physically and with every words that we mention, use in our conversations, is that we, one, listen with care, because we want to understand what the goals are, and then highlight 1 or 2 high volume problems, circumstances that they might come in with. But within 8 to 10 minutes, let's say, you know what, this has been a great conversation, and I think I understand what you're trying to accomplish. Here's a program, and quickly turn around into an action that says, here's the application, let's get you started. And then here are the resources that can help you be successful after you start. So I think those are the challenges, is that folks come in with some uncertainties, but it's our job physically, emotionally, with our words, to be able to turn whatever fear and uncertainty they have into knowledge. And again, that sense of belonging, that I'm in the right place.
I love what you said in terms of just, well, I know it wasn't a fun experience for you, but you shared, you were vulnerable enough to share. You had a hard start. And sometimes how the planning and preparation is a part of how successful you can be when you're there. Because I think back when I was getting ready to start college, and I listened to my mama too much, because she was like, oh no, my baby should take all 8 a.m. courses. And I was like, I don't get up to like 10, all right? but that was a part of my mistake, on top of then not going to the classes. But you see what I'm saying? But it's that setup, and the part that you said about listening, because someone that can respect a parent, but listen to this incoming student to know and understand what their strengths are. So then they feel like, you get me, you're helping me think about what my path forward is, so they can be successful on that journey. I love that.
And I think that's the other challenge that we have, is that we're so great at wanting to help, but there are so many ideas floating around, and oftentimes we kind of duplicate our efforts. So one of the other challenges that we hope to address through the Welcome Center, and think of this as a place where things can happen. I'll start with that. But we all know and understand, me personally, obviously, with my experience, but we know and understand that one first-generation college student can change the trajectory of a family for generations. Right? 1 of 5, we got 9. I've got, my mom has 9 grandchildren. Man, I have to do the math. But the idea there is that we have an opportunity with this space in collaboration with not only student affairs, but also the instructional side of the house. We have a great opportunity to impact beyond the applicant and the enrolled student. So weekly, monthly programmings that also engage the families and the influencers of our applicants and our students give us a huge opportunity to make an impact beyond the individual. So as we're onboarding and orienting students, let's do the same to their families. Let's educate them on the transition to college. So my mom only went to second grade.
Yeah.
And I didn't graduate high school, so.
And someone help me. We have a faculty member. Her dissertation was on.
Teresa Glenn.
Yes, Teresa Glenn. Her dissertation was on that family involvement in this process, and that's so important. You can't eliminate a family because how do we give them the tools to know how to support in whatever way that they can? So, because for some, you're like, you should be passing this class, and it's like, this C right here. This C stands for courageous celebration, cook them a great dinner, they worked hard for that C. So it is, how do you find those ways to involve the parent in a way where they know they can be supportive and don't add the extra stress on the life. So starting them early becomes so important. So this is for Dr. Kinney and Dorado. So how would you measure the success for the Welcome Center? Oh, okay. How would you measure the success for the Welcome Center in the first year and long-term? And are there any long-term impacts for enrollment management?
Yes, I'm gonna quickly punt this back to David.
In a tennis match, I'm the referee.
But from my perspective, I want to see, and I know he already knows this, a vibrant space is always occupied, being used by various populations. We've already talked with Professor Glenn about her involvement with the Welcome Center. We're going to have, student money management there. We're going to have a bunch of different orientations and workshops. So we want to see a vibrant space that's always engaging students, whether it's through walk-ins or planned programming. We have expectations for the first year, but we also have plans that might extend past Highland in the second year. And I'll let David talk about that.
What I heard, David, was booked and busy.
Absolutely. So staple programs, we already have 3. We've got information sessions on our various areas of study that will happen on Mondays, for example. We also know that this center could be the start and the finish of campus tours. So that'll be another staple program that we have out of there. And then because of enrollment management and the teams that we have, we will have weekly orientations happening out of there. But to the point of engaging with the families, we've already talked to Professor Glenn to say, let's also do an event where we can orient the families, right? So those are 3 staple programs, and hopefully a 4th with her help to be able to engage the student, the applicant, and the families. And then, of course, we also have core functions that we came up with, and each one of them has metrics. So how do we measure the success? Is we got to do customer surveys, maybe an advisory board, and then also invite community partners to be part of the programming that happens there. Workforce Solutions, Breakthrough Central Texas. So there are going to be ways that we can measure the success in that first month, first year, and then see how we can make the second center better than the first.
I think what you've heard, particularly related to the Welcome Center, is that it's a model for what's to come as we start to think about what does this mean on our other campuses. I know people are like, but Highland gets this. Well, right now, Highland gives us gives us real estate to innovate and design models that we know that we want to replicate across the district. Would you all help me please thank? Oh, y'all got anybody I want to shout out real quick? Even though we were told to stop, can we have 30 seconds? See, look. Who do y'all want to shout out real quick?
I want to shout out the entire enrollment management family, but in particular, I want to shout out my administrative assistant, Jocelyn Ariste, who really just pushes me and carries me through this journey and making sure I get my stuff done on time.
I've got to start with, and I hope nobody takes this wrong, but change is going to happen. We had a great change in our leadership. So the support that we've gotten from Dr. Acosta, from Dr. Kinney, has been amazing. I'm a team of one, but I've got a strike team that I also need to thank, right? It's them that allowed me to challenge them. Here's my experience. Here's what I've done at the campus level. How do we create this space? So the strike team, absolutely. And then beyond that, Teresa Glenn and Michelle Constanzo. Those are on the faculty side, huge advocates for what we're doing and folks that have allowed me to present to them and say, hey, are we on the right path? So shout outs to them. And then last and but not least is my family.
Aww.
Dr. Buchanan, can I say something real quick?
Yes.
I hope y'all see a theme that it started with Tung. I don't know if you were gonna talk about this. I'm
Okay.
taking over.
Look,
It
the
started with
Dorado discussions, I told y'all. She said.
family. It's all about family.
Would y'all help me so much thank Dr. Dorado, Kinney, and David Zuniga. All right, we're almost over time, but are there any questions in virtual space or here in person that you may have? And I think I see there's a question. Ooh.
Is this on? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question for the financial aid team and the student money management team. How do you address the unique financial needs of international students or students that might not be eligible for financial aid?
That's a great question, and one that we're often trying to continue to find solutions for because it is a challenge. Whenever we work with students, we are always trying to work around some federal rules that make it really hard to get money as an international student. So what we always fall back on is our ACC scholarships, which are open to everyone, regardless of your citizenship status. So we really push those ACC scholarships. It's one application. You can apply for over 600 opportunities with just that one application. So whenever we work with international students and any student really, we really push that scholarship application because that's one way that they can get money for school through ACC in that scholarship application.
Any other questions? No question. Oh, right here. Wait, you got to say it out loud.
Where's the next Welcome Center going to be at?
So the next Welcome Center, we are actually talking about that now from a cabinet perspective in terms of right sizing. And also what does the model look like on larger campuses and what does it look like on a smaller campus so we can kind of scale appropriately, because what we want to do is make sure every campus has an experience. Remember, we spend a lot of time talking about consistency of experience, but how do we do that in the footprint that we have, or any renovations that may come will be very important. So when David was sharing more about that strike team really saying, what is the experience we want to have, knowing what are the must-haves and what are the like-to-haves, and what are the things that we know excites the student when they come in. So we have to go through that process so we can right size it. But that's a wonderful question. But no, the foundation of the work that we do and even the listening sessions that are happening in student affairs as we think about bond and renovations, it's consistency of experience. If they come to Highland and see Welcome Center, we want them to see that same version regardless of what campus they're on, because again, that sense of belonging becomes very important regardless of what campus that you're on. So thank you so much for the question. Any other questions? Yes, please.
This is related to enrollment numbers and projections. And I'm just wondering, related to AI, if that is that a variable as you're thinking about the projections? So, that might be a reason. Some students are thinking about existentially, if they are there in data analytics or web development or something like that, how will that impact them? Or do people want to, potential students want to know more about AI, and so that might be why they would enroll. So is that a part of is that a factor in your projections?
I think I'm hearing this as two questions. On the first part, is our current forecasting using AI? We're not using AI yet. I think there's a lot of potential to use AI, certainly in something like predictive analytics. That's a good question. You know, I don't do a lot of the programming work, but I imagine that AI is going to be impacting the future enrollment, because I think it's becoming a really big thing and a staple part of many jobs. And so I imagine many prospective students here and certainly into the future are going to want to do AI and more work there. And so I have no doubt that that will have an impact. As far as like specific AI programs that ACC offers now and in the future, I don't know if I'd be the best person to answer on this stage, but my personal take, AI is not going anywhere soon. And I believe that a lot of folks are going to want to level up on that, even if they already have a bachelor's degree. So I see that being something that's going to be taking off. And I have a gut feeling ACC is going to play a big part in our community for that.
And I think another thing to think about too, when I worked in college and high school relations, we would look at the endorsement areas and career clusters that the students choose, because that's a part of TEA requirements in 8th grade that they have to identify one and once they go into high school. But what we'll start to see is what exactly in that career cluster, in that endorsement area that students are most interested in. We have watched students over time, not saying that they haven't evolved back to and reimagined, but from web design to really wanting to go into coding and robotics and advanced manufacturing. We've watched the evolution of how students are making choices about programs that they're interested in. One of the things we also noticed is also that students were so excited about coding, so excited about always being on the computer, but then when they had to sit at it for a year during the pandemic, that wasn't that much fun anymore for, our high school students. So paying attention to behaviors, but also working with Texas Workforce Commission, because as we think about adults and what they're most interested in, it becomes important to keep our hand on the pulse so we can know, what does this mean for learning? What does this mean for program design? Because our instructional partners should, are always on top of what's next, what's coming, how do we partner appropriately. And I think that that's important because they're listening and paying attention, and we have to pay attention to our business and industry partners. If we ignore what they are saying is important, then how will our students be able to come here to get what they need to go back into the workforce? So I hope that helps answer just a little. Well, I have just been given the sign that said, well, a long time ago, I was given the sign to stop, and I just kept talking. I know I frustrate them. So I'm gonna wrap us up because I know y'all have busy lives. So help me thank our distinguished guests. The class ain't there no more, but be loud. Yeah. So, like I said before, this is my most selfish way of making friends and getting to know people and really getting to know your lives. I spent a lot of time when y'all were getting to know me when I first came into this role, but it's how do you, with over 900 colleagues in student affairs, how do you get to know the people, their talent, their passion, but then the person behind the work? Because to me, that's more important. That's how we connect. That's how we learn how to work better with each other. So I appreciate y'all taking the time just to be vulnerable, telling me about your jeans, because girl, again, I think that was an important emergency. So again, please enjoy snacks, have fun and fellowship. After all, it is Friday. So tentatively scheduled whoa. We are going into season 3.
Wow.
Episode 1, tentatively scheduled for September 15, 2023. So we will see y'all in the fall for a new season. So y'all have a great rest of your day and weekend.